Hey there, YouTube, France Hopper here. It's Friday, 18 October, and while it's not the day that I promised you I'd get this, today we're going to take a walk along Federation Wharf. So this is the beginning of it here. Over here is Boathouse Row of Yarra Park, and I actually found out that that structure I thought was the cricket stadium is not actually the cricket stadium. The cricket stadium's slightly to the left and is dark tonight. Nonetheless, across here, this is the Arts Precinct. Melbourne Festival is going on today, which is what those additional lights are for. That structure, I still don't know if it has a special name or anything, but that's on top of Hammer Hall, which is one of the concert halls here. That's South Bank Wharf, which is where we're going to walk towards.
Now I know why I wanted to move.
So, Federation Square is up there. You might be able to get a bit of it through the trees. It's really funky architecture. Another thing that I found out that I was wrong about is this along here is not actually called Flinders Street. It's actually Flinders Street. There's actually an L in there. I always thought the tram was mispronouncing it, but turns out this time it was actually me. So apologies to Melbourne for that. And one thing I'll point out, that light there is a corner of a giant TV screen that they have in Federation Square. So when they had the football finals, or the footy, as they call it here, you could watch it on that. And so what I like about being down here in the evening is you're getting a glimpse of it. All the lights just reflect right off of the Yarra River, which I think makes for a very lovely walk. So up here, underneath part of Federation Square, are a couple shops and pubs. This, I believe, is the Elizabeth Street Bridge, I think. Might be wrong again. Don't quote me on anything for now. And in fact, actually, as I'm now walking to Hammer Hall, which is that's not part of Hammer Hall. So I don't actually know what that is part of. Let alone what its name is, but it's part of the Arts Precinct. That much I can tell you for sure. And its lights keep changing, which makes for a very nice bit of reflection along the river, because light along the river, of course, keeps changing. So this is the pub here that I was previously mentioning. Yeah, and this is actually Princess Bridge, now that I can read the sign on it, so not Elizabeth, so that's another thing I'm wrong on. Like I said, don't quote me on a lot of this at all. I've only been here 4 weeks, so still getting my bearings, but being wrong is a good way to get your bearings, I'll tell you that much. And I completely forgot, since it's 10 o'clock, Crown Casino's got its fireballs going. So I'm going to point in the direction of where they'll shoot out. May have missed them already, but I'm seeing some of the reflections from the buildings in the distance, so I'm hoping you might be able to still see some of the fireballs.
Where are the bats?
Bats are probably out now because it's evening. Yeah, so I think we may have missed the fireballs. I always miss them because I don't know what time they go off. They always seem to go off at a random time. But this is South Bank Wharf. That's Hammer Hall again, right along there. This is South Gate Mall. And this is Flinders Street Station. So what you're hearing is the metro getting ready to pull out. And it's so loud that you can hear the announcements as you're going past it, including on the other side. And since I'm not seeing the reflection of the fire anymore, it looks like we did miss the fireballs at Crown Casino. So I apologize for that. Someday I hope to figure out what time they go on and actually catch them. So as we're going along South Bank here, there is the IBM building there. So Southgate, well, it looks like it's a really big mall. Actually, isn't as big as I thought it was, and it seems like it's mostly restaurants rather than shops. It's definitely on the upscale part. So really, this side of the river, if you want to destroy your wallet while you're here in Melbourne, that is the side of the river to do it on. This is the side to be on if you want to go somewhere. So here in the distance is the bridge to South Bank. I think it's called the South Bank Footbridge. Again, might be wrong on that one. I know it's on a map somewhere, but I don't feel like digging into my other pocket to get the phone out and check on Apple Maps, which really doesn't know Melbourne well at all. So I wouldn't trust it anyway, because it keeps telling me St. Kilda's in South Australia, which it is not. So we are going to cross that bridge, though, and head over to Southgate, because basically once we get to that bridge, the reflections on the river switch sides, because underneath the metro tracks, it's actually lit up all blue as you go towards the Melbourne Aquarium. So this is the end of Flinders Street Station, and you can see it right there. There is in fact an L in there, and it's not F-I-N-D, it is F-L-I-N-D. I've walked past that sign 3 times now, and I just figured out this week that I've been getting it wrong. So this is the end of the station here. This continues along towards the Melbourne Aquarium. So there's some nice little color changing lights there. So that's looking back towards Federation Wharf in that direction. There's Hammer Hall. This direction is Crown Casino, and from earlier, that little light that's sticking up there, that's the Convention and Exhibition Center. So one thing that appears to be a tradition here in Melbourne, in the US, these handrails are made out of wood, so in the US we would scratch initials in them for couples. Melbourne has a much more impressive tradition that surprisingly does not involve vandalism, which there is rampant of in the city. Instead, what you do, apparently, I don't know, I haven't found someone yet, but you write your names on a padlock and you stick them on the bridge. So the first time I went across this bridge and saw that, I did a double take, because I thought someone just stuck one by random, and then I got to here and it's like, oh no, this is actually what they do in Melbourne. Someone apparently has left a letter as well. This one cracked me up. Someone left an entire bike chain as well. So there's all different shapes and size padlocks along here. And there again is that structure that I thought was part of Hammer Hall and is in fact not. So that's the city along there. So we're gonna now walk down to South Bank, but before we actually cross over to South Bank, we're gonna peep down below, and maybe you can't see it from this side, but there's actually a restaurant underneath us, as you may be able to guess from the music. That's on a tiny little bit of the bridge. That's the restaurant there, of where the bridge is anchored down. And at first I thought, oh, maybe it was a boat, but it was way too small to be a boat. and of course was not a boat. So here's Southgate Mall, which is tons and tons of restaurants, several office buildings along here. So we are going to go down this way to continue walking along the water, or at least to be closer to the water anyway. So this is the Yarra River. It runs along Melbourne and kind of just splits it in half. And as I'm now learning, it's a nice little garden of planters along the side of the river on the other side. Did not know that until now, because I've previously walked up above and not down on this side. And eventually I'll walk along that side of the river. But this is the side of the river that I like. So there is the clock of Flinders Street Station. So I can't tell if it's focusing there, but the time is 10:10. One of the things that's kind of interesting about Flinders Street is in the front of the station on the corner of Flinders Street and I want to say Elizabeth, but I thought it was Elizabeth because I thought the bridge was Elizabeth, but it's Princess Bridge, so I'm not actually 100% sure what street it is. But nonetheless, the entrance at the corner where Federation Square is, they have a whole bunch of clocks, very similar to the clock tower, but the time on them is never right, because the time on them is actually the time of the next train to arrive for the displayed train route, as well as the platform number. So we're gonna walk up now here. So several office buildings along here, and I never actually realized how close we are, but I believe this tall building here is actually Eureka Sky Deck, which is the tallest building in Australia, and I think actually in the southern hemisphere as well. There's an observation deck on the 88th floor, which at some point I'll get to doing. So we're going to go back to along the river so that you can hear me over all of the pubs that are along that side going towards the casino. This bridge, I'm not sure what bridge it is, but as you can see, there are sculptures along it. So we're going to walk down along the river again. I think what would be neat is if the sculptures lit up different colors, but they don't. But they're still interesting enough as is. And there, since I think this is entertaining, that building I think is supposed to read 500. I'm going to guess 500 Bork. But it's burnt out to the fact that it looks like foo. Which would be an interesting name for a company. But again, I think it's 500 and not foo. Although what's interesting is the 5 is apparently burnt out on two sides of the building in exactly the same location. What are the odds of that? So, as we go along side, several of the major companies here in Australia and just worldwide, of course, have buildings along here, along Flinders and Bork Street. Lonsdale Street is another one that has tons and tons of office buildings as well, including Central Australia, which is where who I'm working for rather, while I'm here in Australia. Except I'm at one of their client offices. I'm actually at an office for AGL and Energy instead. So I'm not at the gigantic building they have on Lonsdale, but it's fine by me. I like the office. So we're gonna cross under this bridge, whatever this bridge is. That's got all the Funkadelic sculptures on it, and basically reach the end of South Bank Promenade and begin the Crown Casino entertainment area. So this is one thing that I found interesting. There was another one over in South Wharf. This is a litter trap. So this is actually designed to capture the garbage along the Yarra River. And as you can see from there, it's capturing a bit. The one on South Wharf actually had much more. So this is Sandbridge Wharf. And there's no label on this bridge still as to what it is. This is Queensbridge here. You might be able to see that. And coming along now is a barge. Well, I shouldn't say barge, I should say boat. Over there, in the distance, is the metro. So we need to go up a bit and cross over the Queen's Bridge. So now we're back at Crown Casino, which is part of where I took you last Saturday. I meant to do this on Sunday, but Sunday was very cold and rainy, so I decided to not do it. So we're making up for that tonight, which is a beautiful Friday night. The weekend is going to be absolutely fantastic. Here's some Funkadelic sculpture.
I saw a restaurant called Fridays.
Yeah, TGI Fridays. That's a restaurant we have in the U.S. So here's a McD's, 7-Eleven. There's a TGI Fridays up there. Here's a little amphitheater. And now we're gonna go ahead and cross the Queen's Bridge. The reason we're on this side of the road, so as you can see in the distance there, that blue is a bit of underglow from the aquarium, or at least leading on to the aquarium via the metro, which gives off a very lovely reflection. That's the Crown Casino there. And this is where we get to cross over, and it looks like there's also a subway there. So if you're from the US and you're looking for a bunch of US places to eat, apparently this is your place. And as you can probably hear in the background, all of the lights here in Melbourne and in St. Kilda Beach as well, all either chirp or have a little clicker in them so that you can hear when the light's about to change. And when it's blinking like that, that means it's about to change. Over here, which I don't think you're going to be able to see because it's too dark, but along there are several bikes parked. Those are part of Melbourne Bike Share. And now we're going to go down along here, and I'm going to have to keep talking a lot because the casino's got speakers along the side of the river that, of course, are always playing music, and we all know how much YouTube loves to go copyright hammer on you when you've got music in any of your videos, including ones that you've done yourself, like the introductory music to this video, since everyone always asks what I use. It's Choice Gymnopeds No 1. But anyway, now we are here in the Crown Casino Entertainment Complex thing, also known as Here, Take All of My Money. There is the Sea Life Melbourne Aquarium. Here's some funky, really tall wall thing that's just there because it can be. I don't know if it's supposed to represent anything or not. Here are some more sculptures as well. So one of the things that I find interesting is there's all these sculptures along this walk, but none of them are named or anything. There's no artist recognition or anything like that, at least not that I've seen. So they're all a mystery. And we're gonna go back down towards the water. But there's the reflection off of the metro tracks. So we're gonna go down a little bit and then we're gonna have to go pretty much right back up because the wharfs here go up and down and up and down. But while we're here, this bridge here may look slightly familiar because that's the bridge that was taken last Saturday to go to Batman Park. Today we're not going to take that bridge. We're going to walk all the way down to the end of Casino and simply pick up the tram at the Casino Melbourne Exhibition Centre and Convention Centre stop. I totally buggered that up, but you get the general idea. Change here for routes 109 and 112. So this, I don't think has a name, but it's a bit of the wharf that's got some turf, which you can't see on camera because it's so dark. Maybe you can see it there. So we're walking on turf now that it's nice and lit up. And it looks like they're setting up something over there. No idea what, but it's something. So now we go back up again until we can walk down again. So, yes, we're still in the casino. We're about maybe halfway through the complex. It is very massive. And here again is another one of those funky wall things that simply exists for the sake of existing. Looks like they're setting up a screen over there. Don't know what they're going to use that for, but they'll use it for something. So the casino, of course, on the ground floor is full of restaurants, which I'm sure are all very expensive. And there, on the river, you get a nice reflection from the back side of the car park sign. And we're gonna go through the miniature little park that's here again with some more of its turf. So this is the bridge from the last walk, the short one to Batman Park. And since this ends, we're just gonna go up here and slip through the sign like so. So where the fireballs were coming out of that I didn't get to capture, they come out of those giant chimneys basically there. And again, I thought they went off at 9, but started this walk at 10, and they were just finishing up. Yeah, all of these all shoot out giant fireballs, and they make a very loud whoosh, so you can actually hear them as they're shooting out, and then later on you can see them, of course, because they shoot up quite high into the sky. And here again is the bridge from previously. And along here we have a mural. We have some bumblebees. So I have no idea what, if anything, this mural is supposed to be expressing and whatnot. They're apparently watching. So, now that we're on this side, over there, where it's nice and dark, is Batman Park. And again, everything from that side of the river just lines up nicely and gives off a beautiful reflection along the river. South Wharf, unfortunately, was kind of disappointing in regards to amount of reflections, but it was still a good walk. There were plenty of restaurants over there. Yeah, talking about it. And in the distance, that we're coming up on now, it's the Convention and Exhibition Center. This, I'm going to assume, is the food court, or at least it seems to be the food court, because there's tons of food. I'm sure that's probably Melbourne's most expensive gelato. So now we're basically coming up on the end of the casino. Those are birds. Someone's having fun on a double-decker party bus. When I got on the tram to take this walk, there was a single-decker bus that was a party bus. So apparently there's a party bus service or something on Friday evenings here. Can't go wrong with a party bus. I think the trams could use a little more party, personally. And so there is the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Center, and it looks like they're getting ready for an expo of something. Looks like it's called the Expo or so. And next to it is APA, so I have no idea what's going on, but something's going on. Looks like there are a ton of people in there too, so there's probably a show tonight. And here is the tram stop, which is where I'm going to catch the tram. And that all the way down there is the casino, and that's it.